been a disappointing season for the Bayou Bengals, to say the least, and Saturday would not have made up for it, but it would have been a nice send-off present for Coach Ed Ogeron, of course, and the LSU faithful, as it was a tight one in the fourth quarter, and LSU gave it a great go against a 29-point favorite in Alabama on the road, but they fall 20-14. We got Noah Long on here to talk LSU football with us. All right, Noah, good to see you. Looking at the game on Saturday night, I really locked in on the second half. Of course, there was a fake punt first drive of the game, so LSU sent a message, hey, we're here to play. We're going to leave it all out on the field and do anything we possibly can to win this game. And Coach O, despite all of his misgivings and losing his job, he certainly had the team ready to play, and he certainly talked about it leading into the game that, hey, we're here to win. No moral victories. We want to win the game. We believe we can win the game.
Yeah, the main thing for me is the players really tried their hardest. They gave all the effort out there. And I really would have liked to win the game, but it is a good showing against one of the best teams consistently. And the main thing for me was the blitzing packages on defense, I think really changed the game for Bama because they had no tape because LSU hadn't blitzed all year. Like, I haven't seen us blitz a single time up into this game, so it was very surprising for me, but it was necessary, and that's one of the things you need to beat Alabama. You have to get pressure on the quarterback. You have to stop the run, and we did that pretty well. And the main thing on offense, I think where we failed was the offensive scheme is just not up to par, but you could see some of the playmakers were making plays. Ty Davis Price in a poor schematic offense ran for 100 yards, and that's very exciting for a back who's probably going to come back next year, running for 100 yards in Bryant Denny. And you could see greats like Leonard Fournette and Darius Geis and Jeremy Hill. They didn't accomplish that, so that was exciting for me watching the game. And special teams, I think we should have opted to kick some field goals because Cade York, the kicker, I mean, he's one of our best players. You have to rely on your kicker. Down by 6 with about 5 minutes left, we could have kicked the field goal, and our defense wasn't. It didn't look like they were going to get beat over the top. So I feel like maybe we should have opted to kick field goal. But overall, I think we played a pretty good game. And the main takeaway for me is that we still have the talent to compete with Alabama. So LSU fans should really start to get excited with the new coach coming in.
If you kick the field goal, of course, then that final drive, so the drive stalls with about 2.5 minutes left in the game. But because of the defensive timeouts and holding Alabama no first downs, the offense didn't have a great shot at it, but they had somewhat of a shot to get it into field goal range. They were basically a pass completion away, or they were right there. Didn't they get it down to the 30?
Down to about the 35.
Yeah.
About the 35.
So they would have had a shot at a long field goal to tie the game had they kicked the field goal before. Of course, hindsight's 2020, and you don't know what the situation's going to be. And that was the way that they were playing all night. Let's go for it. Let's take it a shot. And it was, what was the fourth down? How many yards to go?
4th and 8 on the goal line, and then about 4th and I think it was about 4th and 9 on the second one. So, I mean, you can take your field goals, but I understand. I mean, what are the probabilities you win in overtime in Bryant Denny? I get it. We're huge underdogs. So I respect that. We went for it, but hindsight 2020, you can look and see and just nitpick, but that again, it's just nitpicking at that point.
So what are your major issues with the offense? You said you don't like necessarily the scheme, the play calling.
Yeah.
Are there specific examples?
Yeah, there's one big thing. It doesn't make any sense. Even like anyone can point this out. Max Johnson is a left-handed quarterback rolling out to the right. And it's very difficult to throw rolling out to your right when you're a lefty. And it's just ignorance and incompetence from the offensive coordinator, Jake Peets. And it really doesn't make sense. And he's completely out of his depth. And it's very obvious to the college football public, you know. But that's the main example I like to use. Another one, we were running the counter left, which basically you pull the right-sided guard and tackle to the left side, and it usually creates a big hole. But it also leaves the right-sided defensive end unblocked, and that's Alabama's best player, Anderson. Like, how are you going to leave their best player unblocked and think you're going to have a lot of success running that play? And so those are just two of the examples that really just don't make sense for me.
LSU falls to Alabama 20-14. They gave it a good go. The defense certainly, a bright spot in all this was Alabama's offensive line. You mentioned the Ty Davis Price line of over 100 yards rushing. Well, no, the last time I'm not willing to do the digging through the history books to try to figure out the last time a starting running back at Alabama carried it 13 times for 18 yards.
It was in that. I'm pretty sure that's like a record, and it's the first time in 50 years, and the last time that somebody held Bama to that amount of rushing yards was in like 1950 in the Sugar Bowl or something like that. I saw it on Twitter. Like it's unbelievable numbers from LSU's rushing defense. All over the place. Excellent.
Absolutely. The defensive front just manhandling Alabama, giving Bryce Young fits, even though he did throw for 302 yards. They basically had the two drives at the end of the first half, and of course, led off the third quarter with a score, and that was pretty much it for an Alabama offense that used to scoring in the 40s, held to 20. All right, we got Noah Long on the line to talk LSU football. The Tigers dropped to 4-5 with the loss at Bama. They take on Arkansas coming up in Death Valley on Saturday night. Let's get to the Arkansas game. So the Hogs get off the deck. They beat Mississippi State in a really exciting, close game. Your thoughts about Arkansas football? Obviously, Sam Pittman has brought that program to life.
Yeah, Sam Pittman's doing a really good job. And they're really good up front on the offense, and their defense is pretty solid too. But the main thing for me on Arkansas is Traylon Burks. I mean, he's electric. He's one of the best players in the SEC and maybe even the country. And so that's probably going to be their focal point going forward. So we need to really marginalize his effectiveness on Saturday.
Got Noah Long on the line to talk LSU football. And again, the Tigers playing out the string with Ed Ogeron in play, have to face Arkansas. It's Texas A&M, obviously, in the finale. Is there the out-of-conference FCS kind of opponent between that?
Yeah, I think we played, who is it? Monroe, UL Monroe.
There you go.
In between Arkansas and A&M at home.
All right, so looking at the coaching search, okay, Mel Tucker's obviously getting a lot of attention. James Franklin, where do we stand? What are the latest names that are out there? What seems to be a legit list?
Yeah, the name of the week last week that I was hearing a lot was Jimbo Fisher, which is interesting, and I think it's a lot more likely than a lot of people think. I don't necessarily think he's the right coach, but there are ties there. Obviously, Scott Woodward hired him at Texas A&M. He coached at LSU. He does talk about LSU a lot in press conferences, and recently he said he wasn't coming, but Nick Saban said the same thing again about Alabama. So, it's really hard to tell at this point, though. So we're probably just going to have to sit back and wait. But I also heard that there was some stuff going on with Lincoln Riley. I don't know how true that is, but that's just some of the rumors I've been hearing.
Okay, Lincoln Riley to LSU. That's kind of a lateral move when it comes to program status, but certainly they could sweeten the pot in regards to
a lot of people think it's not so lateral based on it's not really consistent success, but it's more of Oklahoma's last national championship was in 2000. LSU's won 3 since then and went to another, which they lost to Alabama. So some people may think that the ceiling or Lincoln Riley has reached his ceiling at Oklahoma, and at LSU, coaches like Les Miles and Coach Ogeron have won at. So some people think that he would want to move to LSU if the offer is right. I'm not saying he's for sure locked in on the LSU job. It's just something to think about and stuff that I've heard from sources.
Yeah, you can look at it that way. That yeah, 03, 07, and 2019 with LSU national championships, and another appearance, as you mentioned, in 2011. There being a higher ceiling in regards to recruiting, no doubt about that. You can also look at it, yeah, from a consistency standpoint. LSU is not winning as consistently by any stretch of the imagination as Oklahoma is. So when I said lateral move, I thought I was giving LSU a bit of a favor there. But yeah, Oklahoma is a consistent winner. LSU is not. But yeah, there have been those peaks with national championship runs in the last 20 years. All right. Yeah, I would think that that would all be about opportunity in terms of trying to seeing a situation in which he felt as though he could recruit at a level where he could win national championships, and maybe feeling like he can't quite do that now, although Oklahoma's bringing in top 5 to 10 classes in the nation.
Yeah, I think another big thing they were touching on is they were saying a lot of sources were saying that LSU was prepared to offer up to 12 million, and that's the highest paid coach in college football. So that might also have something to do with it.
Well, yeah. Most of us leave jobs or go to jobs based on pay. If we're going to make more money doing the same thing somewhere else, we're going to leave and go there. Yes. All right. We got Noah Long on the line talking LSU football. Miles Brennan, he waited in line for quite some time. He came out as a 4-star, and it looked like the team was going to be his in taking over for Joe Burrow. He got off to a hot start and actually had touchdown numbers in the first few games of 2020 that were on par with what Burrow produced, which seemed ridiculously impossible, 60 touchdowns in 15 games, but I think he threw 12 in 3. So he was right there on pace. Obviously lost the team based on, or lost the job based on injury, and has not been able to wrestle it back. So he has decided to move on through the transfer portal.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation for him. It's just, for me, it's all about timing. He got hurt, a very poorly timed injury whenever we really needed a quarterback. And Max Johnson eventually stepped up and led us to 2 wins over 2 respectable teams in Florida and Ole Miss at the end of the year. And this year, he hasn't really made the job his own. But with the likes of Garrett Nussmeier and Walker Howard coming in next year, 5-star number 1 quarterback, yeah, it was going to be really hard for Miles to really secure a starting spot at LSU. And I really think he was a good leader and representative for LSU football, and I wish him the best wherever he goes. I assume he'd stay at the Power 5 level. I think he's good enough, and he's shown that in the glimpses, but the big thing for him is, can he stay healthy? So, and yeah, just shout out to Miles. He's a great Tiger.
Max Johnson, 22 touchdowns, 6 picks, 60% completion percentage this year. And again, coming off the game against Bama, that was a tough one for him. 16 of 32 for $160, and really didn't get the protection he needed, especially the final few drives, to make it happen and pull off the upset. Noah Long breaking down LSU football for us as the Tigers take on Arkansas in a long-standing SEC Western Division matchup. Noah, we appreciate you stopping by as always.
Thank you.